Religion gave you a structure. Spirituality demands your soul. Religion provides external order, rules, roles, routines, and clear expectations that can create a sense of safety and rightness. You felt covered because you were obedient to something outside of you. But spirituality is an internal revolution. It strips away the outside comfort and demands you meet your own inner chaos. It calls you to go deep, and that's where the shadows live. You're not just attending church anymore, you're becoming a temple. Religion often made it seem like if you just prayed hard enough, tired enough, or followed the commandments, life will go smoothly. But that was spiritual contract based on transactional faith. Now that you have entered true spirituality, the ego can't bargain anymore. You're not doing right to get right. You're being called to embody truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and that's a hard initiation. When you were religious, you had less awareness of your inner wounds, programming, and generational patterns. You didn't have to face them. Now you're conscious. You feel more. You see the patterns, and that awareness hurts more until you heal. You're not crazy, my beautiful people. You're just finally awake. Remember that the breakdown is the breakthrough. Spiritual awakening always brings loss first. Loss of people, comfort, income, identity. And why is that? Because everything that was built on a false version of you must collapse so the true self can rise. When the false self dies, the soul cries, but only for a moment, then it soars. And if you feel like if it ain't one thing or another that's going on with you, just know that you're in the wilderness phase. Biblically and spiritually, every chosen one went through the wilderness. Jesus fasted in the wilderness before his mission. Moses wandered for 40 years before reaching the promised land. You're in the in-between, not where you were and not yet where you're going. The soul is in detox. You're being tested for authentic power also. And before you can hold the frequency of purpose, prosperity, and peace in this new level, you're being shown what you still fear, what you still crave, what you still believe about your worth. Spirituality doesn't promise a better life. It promises a freer you. But freedom costs everything false. Don't go back to what felt safe. It was a cage disguised as a comfort zone. Ask your soul, what is this pain trying to reveal about who I really am? Anchor into daily affirmations, alignment, journaling, body movement, nature, prayer, and yes, you can still pray, and truth-telling. Track your patterns. What hurts most is showing you where you're still enslaved mentally or emotionally. Stop comparing the past ease to current growth. Ease isn't always evolution. When you were in religion, your life felt better because your ego was being rewarded. Now in spirituality, your soul is being refined, and that refinement feels like suffering until it turns into glory. And sometimes we ask ourselves, like, why, if it ain't one thing, it's another? I had more money when I was in the world, and now it seems like everything is going chaotic. But just know that we're speaking from a voice of the inner child who once felt covered, supported, and provided by a spiritual system that felt bigger than us. But we're also speaking from the voice of the emerging soul, who is now being challenged to step into divine maturity, but without the safety net we once had. This is sacred tension. You move from spiritual outsourcing to spiritual ownership. In religion, God was your provider, and that created a feeling of external dependency, but also external support. Now in spirituality, you're being asked to integrate God within, to see you as the vessel of provision, wisdom, and creation. And sometimes that gets scary, because now, if something goes wrong, you feel like you are the blame, not the church, not the pastor, not God. But here's the truth. You're not dependent on yourself. You're learning to depend on the God within you. And that's a muscle you're still here learning how to flex. And we also was never taught how to co-create. Religion often taught us God will provide if you're faithful. But it didn't teach you the laws of vibration, frequency, and energetic responsibility. You were obedient, but not always consciously aligned. Now you're being shown. your subconscious money beliefs, generational patterns, internal blockages, emotional frequency traps like fear, shame, or guilt. And all of this affects your ability to receive and retain wealth in a spiritual system that requires vibrational alignment, not just faith. It feels like a struggle because you're no longer being fed from the system. You're being called to plant, water, and harvest your own garden. But that means you're building sovereignty, divine intelligence, financial mastery from the inside out. You're not being punished. You're being invited to learn the laws of abundance from the soul level. The ego hates being the source. The soul knows it is the source. Whew. Right now, your ego is saying, I have to do it all by myself. Your soul is whispering, no, you're just learning that you and the source are not separated. Your wealth lives inside of your voice, your truth, your vision, your service. This is hard because you are deprogramming dependency and activating divine identity. Keep this in mind, my beautiful people. You're not alone. You're just no longer operating under spiritual dependency. You're entering spiritual dominance. In my next video, I'm going to break down the spiritual dependency and the spiritual dominance so we can understand what we're going through. Because anybody made it this far, you are no longer part of the church. You are the church. And it's time to rebuild the temple. It's time to rebuild the temples and the people. And you made it this far. Boy, you got something beautiful that's on your life. Kingdom builders. Gilchrist builders. Servant of Christ builders. I likes that.